Hello and welcome to Trips and Traps. I'm Andy Serling. I'm joined by a new guest host this week, Dan Silver. Thanks for being here, Dan.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show, Andy, and really looking forward to digging into some of the races from last week and hopefully coming up with some profitable angles for the viewers tuning in.
Yeah, it was sort of a tough week to find some races in some ways. We focused a lot of our races on last Saturday, the 4th of October. We're going to start out with a race that was run on Friday, October 3rd, and it's a race that might have some implications on some stake races, maybe the sports page or farther even down the road. And Brabon was a big favorite in this race. Actually, he wasn't as big a favorite as we thought he would be. Coming off a 118 buyer figure, we're going to stop it for a second, just show you number 5, Brabon. He's in the blue silks in this race, and he's about 4th right now between horses. And it's not that anybody specifically has any trips in this race. It's just that Brabon had run that huge 118 buyer figure, I think only pretty much eclipsed by a commentator a couple of times this year. He was coming back off a 100-day layoff and didn't do the running that a lot of people thought he might.
And we can see already it's a contested pace, and you can see the horse in the back of the pack, Gold Trippy, is getting ready just to have a perfect trip here that's going to lead him to victory.
Yeah, I agree very much. It really set up for Gold Victory. And Silver Stetson, man, is now moving into second, and Brabon is between horses, making a very premature move. I think I understand why. On paper, it looked like the 1 might be the only speed, but Brabon running too fast too early.
Yeah, you know, I actually thought that Silver Stetson, man, was the best horse in the race. Brabon, I think the distance had a little bit to do here, in addition to the layoff. You mentioned he was coming off with a very long layoff. And in addition, I think he's more of a 7-furlong, 8-furlong horse. I think the distance in the layoff may be more of a factor.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And I do think he was compromised with it and didn't run as well as he maybe could have. Now, who knows if something happened while he was gone. The connections also have Jopa Flats. It'll be interesting to see if one or both of them show up in the sports page, which is being run here at Belmont Breeders' Cup Day, and if they're still hoping to go towards the Cigar Mile.
Yeah, but we're really seeing there that the Gold Trippy got to sit the perfect trip, contentious pace, just basically went around all the horses. I would look for Silver Stetson, man, coming back to run a really good race. Brabon, I think you're right, you know, stretching out maybe 7 furlongs a mile. The horse could be pretty tough next time out. Yeah,
I won't be surprised to see both the 1st and 3rd finishers, maybe all 3 of them in the sports page. Silver Stetson, man, I wonder if he really wants to go beyond 6. His best races, obviously on polytrack, and I think he's better on dirt, were at 6 furlongs. He failed at 7.5 the race before that against Merchant Marine. I don't really know what they're going to do with him. I think he's a nice horse, but the winner and definitely Brabon are the 2 horses that may have a future down the road.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Now we'll go on to some races, a bunch of races we're going to show from Champaign and Frizette Day this past Saturday, but we're going to start out with the first race. And the first thing we're going to do early is we're going to highlight for you the eventual winner, Bay Street Bully, and show you where he comes from. He's in pink silks, dropping back number 5. He has no real trouble other than coming from last. And there he is right now focused. But we don't really need to pay attention to him during the race. The horse we're going to move to is the 4, Easy Dollar. And this is a horse that Dan felt had a very tough trip here.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get a perfect trip leading up to the point where he gets steadied around the turn, which really stopped all of his momentum and any chance he had at winning. And he still came through, and you'll see it, and almost had a chance to win. You'll see the fractions here were fairly slow, 26 and 51. But all week, the turf course had kind of been yielding soft, good, and really had been playing pretty slowly. So I'm not sure you can read too much into those fractions.
Yeah, you know, yes and no. I mean, the horse who's in the lead right now finishes 4th in this race, so I agree there was a lot of give in the turf. But the fact that the winner, Bay Street Bully, came from 2nd to last in this race, to me means he was really the best horse, because the pace didn't absolutely collapse here. And I still think he ran a better race than Easy Dollar. But there's no question, and we're going to see it coming up soon, that Easy Dollar, even though, as you said, he's sitting the perfect trip here, he definitely had, I think, more things go well for him, and his trouble is mitigated by the somewhat of a perfect trip he was having.
Yeah, we're going to see Jose Barrios is really going to try and fit this horse through a very small seam on the rail. As you can see here, he's getting a perfect inside trip, but he's going to try and come through. And what happens when a horse has his momentum completely stopped, I think that really affects him. You're going to see his momentum stop, and then pretty much all the other horses are going to fly by him. He's going to really have to try and re-rally, and he does a phenomenal job.
Yeah, we're gonna stop it here actually and show you Easy Dollar, and he's gonna really steady in here, and we'll pick it up again. And I agree. You know, there's 2 things going on. Obviously, his momentum gets stopped, as you can see, very badly there. He's really in tight. And the other thing is, a lot of horses don't really want to rally inside of horses on the rail. And so while after this he regathers himself, and you'll see him, he makes another rally.
He's making a huge move up the middle after having his momentum completely stopped. Barrios tried to fit him through that hole. Now you can also see Bay Street Bully coming on the outside.
Yeah, well, he comes outside, and there's a little bit, there was an inquiry here, but farther back, a horse we're highlighting now, and it's really one you'd almost have to go to your own look at it. You felt the Classic Impact was kind of stopped there. I don't know how much running he was going to do.
Yeah, there's a horse, Classic Impact, who, if you look at the charts, it said he steadied while tiring. You know, if you look at it, Bay Street Bully kind of cut him off, and I wouldn't look for Classic Impact to come back and win, but I think he'll come back and probably run a better race than he did. I'm not so sure he was tiring. I think he kind of got checked there by Bay Street Bully, and I'd look for him to maybe, you know, fill out a trifecta or a superfecta next time.
He does have that one good race back at Belmont when he finished second back in the summer, and maybe if he could get back to that race. Easy Dollar, I'm just not sure what to do with Easy Dollar in this race, because the problem is he's had similar chances with good trips against these fields, and he's finished in a similar spot. And to me, even though he had the trouble, I just don't know where he goes from here.
Yeah, I mean, he's been in claiming non-winners of 2 for a while now. I think maybe this was his chance to win. He had a lot of run, and if he wouldn't have gotten shut off on the rail, I do think he would have won the race. But it'll be interesting to see where he comes back.
Yeah, and then he'll go to Aqueduct, where saving ground is so much more important than Belmont.
Yeah.
And, of course, he'll get a wide trip. We're going to move on to another race from that day, and I believe this is the third race we're going to watch. Is it the second or third race?
It's the third race on the day.
Third race. It's August Rex is the big favorite. We're going to highlight him pretty early in the race. He's number 6, but he's not really what we want to talk about. We just want to mention he's in like third right now between horses, and he'll drop back. The thing is, he was an overwhelming favorite in this race and really did very little running.
Yeah, I felt like he was a tremendous underlay in this race. I mean, he went off at 2 to 5, which I thought were ridiculous odds for this horse.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought he should have won the race. I'm not surprised with that short. What really happens in the race is, though, in fourth right now is Connecticut Yankee, the eventual winner, who gets an absolutely perfect trip.
You can't script it any better than this.
Right, and fifth right now is Close to the Vest, and he's 2 lengths behind Connecticut Yankee as we're watching the race. But what happens here is Norberto Arroyo makes a premature move on Close to the Vest, while Richard Migliori is sitting chilly on Connecticut Yankee and letting the real running, waiting for the real running being done. And there's Close to the Vest moving outside of the leader, Sergeant Seattle, I believe his name is, and he finishes third. Close to the Vest makes that move to the lead, but Connecticut Yankee saves all the ground and doesn't do any running until mid-stretch, really.
It was a perfect trip, and you look at the odds, Close to the Vest, 35 to 1, but I don't think this horse should have been 35 to 1. His last race was the first off a long layoff, and he stumbled at the start. If you look at his one victory was dominating. It was down at Gulfstream. He won his maiden by 6 lengths. This was only a 6th start, so I think you're correct. I think this horse could be set up to run a really big race next time.
Yeah, he's a horse who's better than he looked, and we even talked about him on the show that day. He had classic buried form. A poly-track race, caught up in a brutal pace, stumbled to start in one of his races. He was a buried form horse. Do I think he could have won here? I don't know, but maybe if he had made the same kind of moves, it would have been a lot closer.
Yeah, I think so. I also think that August Rex might need a little more ground. I'm not sure he's fast enough to compete with really good allowance horses, 6 furlongs. I know you disagree a little bit, but I'd like to see him stretch out to maybe 7 furlongs or a mile next time.
He ran so badly, I wonder when we're going to see him next. Anyway, that does it for the first segment of Trips and Traps. We're going to finish up with the Frizette, the Champagne, another race from that day. And just remember, if you want to get a hold of us, and we love getting the emails, we've gotten quite a few, it's tripsandtraps@NYRAinc.com. See you for the second segment.